We're gonna go over body language. Let's look at Oprah. You see how she looked at Taraji and quickly looks away. And now look at Taraji. Look at her legs. She locks it away from Oprah, looking up, fluttering her eye, trying to hold back tears. But she's trying to be professional.
When Taraji P. Henson broke down in tears on national television, talking about how tired she was of being underpaid in Hollywood, the world watched in shock. But here's what made it even more uncomfortable. She wasn't crying on just anyone's show. She was sitting across from Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey's best friend, talking about a movie Oprah herself produced. The Color Purple was supposed to be Taraji's big moment, her chance to shine in a prestigious Warner Brothers production backed by one of the most powerful women in entertainment. Instead, it turned into a public breakdown about pay disparity that had the entire internet pointing fingers at Oprah. And then, out of nowhere, 50 Cent stepped into the conversation with an Instagram post that basically said, "Come work with me instead."
All television shows have targeted demographics. Audience, if you looked at Oprah Winfrey's audience, it was middle-aged white women. They escaped the fact that she was an African-American woman in front of them. Yeah. Because she was so successful, when she said things and it was the way they thought, they said, "Oh, I think like a billionaire."
Now, you might be wondering why a rapper turned mogul would publicly throw shade at Oprah to defend an actress he's never worked with. But if you know anything about 50 Cent's history with Oprah, you'd know this wasn't just about Taraji. This was personal. Let's rewind to December 2023, when Taraji was doing press rounds for The Color Purple. Everyone expected her to gush about the movie, talk about the amazing cast, and promote the film like any other Hollywood promotional tour. Instead, Taraji showed up with receipts and frustration. She told interviewers that she almost walked away from the project entirely because the pay was insultingly low. And here's the kicker. She revealed she hadn't seen a salary increase since 2017's Proud Mary. That's 6 years of working non-stop in Hollywood, delivering critically acclaimed performances and still getting paid the same rate.
About this whole Taraji, you know, I heard I was trending yesterday because people are saying that I was not supporting Taraji. Taraji will tell you herself that I've been the greatest champion of this film, championing not only the behind-the-scenes production, but also everything.
But the issues went beyond just the paycheck. According to reports, the cast wasn't even given proper trailers during production. They were driving rental cars to set themselves. There was no food provided during rehearsals, and the working conditions felt more like an indie film than a major studio production. And this wasn't some low-budget independent project. The Color Purple had a reported budget of around $100 million. So the question everyone started asking was simple. Where did all that money go? Taraji's emotional interview with Gayle King became the moment that broke the internet. She sat there, visibly exhausted, talking about how she was tired of working so hard and being gracious at her craft, only to be paid a fraction of what she deserved. She mentioned how she kept hearing her sisters in the industry say the same things over and over again.
The work, people go, you work a lot. I too, because the math ain't math and the zeros ain't adding up, And so because you see somebody working a lot of times when it's us, it's because that one job is not going to cover you for the year.
The math wasn't mathing, as she put it. She could see what productions were willing to spend on other projects, but when it came time for black actresses to negotiate, suddenly the budgets were tight. Gayle tried to push back gently, asking if Taraji was really thinking about quitting acting, and you could see the genuine pain in Taraji's face when she paused before answering. She said she was tired of being undervalued, tired of fighting the same battles, and the internet felt every word of that exhaustion. But this is where the story takes a turn, because Taraji's complaints weren't just about Hollywood in general. They were specifically about her experience on The Color Purple, a film produced by Oprah Winfrey and Steven Spielberg. At first, Taraji tried to walk back some of the heat. She posted on Instagram defending Oprah, calling her a beacon of light and insisting that the billionaire media mogul had always supported her. She clarified that the budget issues were Warner Brothers' fault, not Oprah's, and that Oprah had actually fought for the cast whenever problems arose.
I get this weird call from Tyler Perry, who's a really dear friend of mine, and he was like, "Girl, are you answering your phone?" And I was like, "Why? I answered, you called." He's, "Oprah's trying to call you." I was like, "Oh, wait, did Oprah get voicemail? What's going on?"
Oprah herself came out publicly, echoing the same sentiment. She told entertainment outlets that she wasn't in charge of the budget, that Warner Brothers controlled the purse strings, and that she stepped in to handle issues whenever they came up. On paper, that explanation makes sense. Producers don't always control every financial decision, especially when dealing with major studios. But here's where the optics became a problem. Oprah Winfrey is worth billions of dollars. She's one of the most powerful women in entertainment history. And even if she didn't have direct control over every line item in the budget, the fact that her lead actress was crying on television about being underpaid didn't sit right with people. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions. If Oprah really cared about Taraji and the rest of the black women in that cast, couldn't she have done something? Couldn't she have fought harder? Or at the very least, couldn't she have used her own money to make sure her stars were treated properly?
So 2018 was when I finally got a real quote. And that is the last time that I haven't gotten a raise since then.
The internet wasn't buying the explanations, and neither was 50 Cent. Now, to understand why 50 Cent jumped into this drama so quickly, you have to know the history between him and Oprah. This wasn't some random celebrity defending another celebrity. This was a man who had been waiting for an opportunity to remind the world that Oprah isn't the saint everyone thinks she is. Back in the early 2000s, when 50 Cent was one of the biggest names in hip-hop, he wanted to clean up his image. He'd built his career on being the tough guy from Queens who survived 9 gunshots and came back harder. But now he wanted to show the world there was more to him than just the gangster persona. And in his mind, the ultimate stamp of approval, the moment when you knew you'd really made it, was appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
And they make, cause once we put you a billionaire, and then you say things and you think exactly the way they think, they go, oh, she's a billionaire, she's amazing.
His grandmother was a massive Oprah fan. She watched the show religiously. For 50, getting on Oprah's couch meant he'd accomplished something his grandmother could be proud of. So his team reached out to Oprah's producers to pitch an interview, but Oprah rejected him. According to 50, she told his team she wasn't interested in interviewing someone whose music represented everything wrong with black culture. She didn't like his lyrics, didn't like his image, and didn't think he deserved a platform on her show. 50 Cent didn't take that rejection quietly. In true petty fashion, he decided that if Oprah didn't want to be friends, they might as well be enemies. And his revenge? He named his dog Oprah. Not just any dog either. He made sure everyone knew about it. He posted photos of the dog on social media, did interviews where he casually mentioned his dog's name, and even named his cat Gayle after Oprah's best friend. It was disrespectful, childish, and absolutely hilarious to anyone who understood the context. But it also highlighted something deeper. 50 Cent felt like Oprah had a bias against hip-hop artists. He believed she catered to an older, predominantly white audience and looked down on the culture that made people like him successful. And he wasn't the only one who felt that way. Ludacris had his own uncomfortable experience on the Oprah Winfrey Show when he appeared to promote the film Crash. Instead of talking about the movie, Oprah spent most of the interview questioning him about his use of the N-word in his music. And then, to make matters worse, she edited out his responses, making him look like he had no defense for his artistry. When the episode aired, it looked like he just sat there and took the criticism without pushing back. Ludacris called her out in later interviews, saying he felt ambushed and disrespected. And if you think that sounds like Hollywood folklore, wait until you hear what happened with Dave Chappelle. In 2005, Dave walked away from a $50 million deal with Comedy Central and disappeared to South Africa.
Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million.
No, that's not even close to what happened to this dude.
Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
I wasn't walking away from the money.
Yeah.
I was walking away from the circumstance.
When he came back, he appeared on Oprah's show to explain himself, but instead of letting him tell his story, Oprah kept interrupting him, pushing narratives about mental illness and paranoia. She asked him directly if he'd been to a psychiatric hospital, if he was taking medication, if he was stressed out. Dave pushed back, saying that it's incredibly stressful when people constantly tell you you're insane just because you made a decision they don't understand. He explained that he wasn't comfortable with certain things that came with the Comedy Central deal, and that's why he walked away. But Oprah kept pressing, trying to get him to admit there was something wrong with him. It was uncomfortable to watch, and it highlighted a pattern that 50 Cent, Ludacris, and others had been talking about for years. Oprah seemed to have a different standard for hip-hop artists and black entertainers who didn't fit her idea of respectability. But the most damning example of Oprah allegedly using her power to destroy someone's career came from Monique. And this is where 50 Cent really stepped up as the only person willing to tell the truth. Monique won an Academy Award for her performance in Precious, a film produced by Oprah and Tyler Perry. It should have been the beginning of an incredible career. Instead, it became the end. Monique claims that after winning the Oscar, Oprah, Tyler Perry, and director Lee Daniels blackballed her because she refused to do unpaid press tours for the film. She said she'd already fulfilled her contractual obligations and didn't think it was fair to expect her to promote the movie internationally without compensation. But according to Monique, when she said no, they retaliated. Her phone stopped ringing, roles dried up, and for over a decade she couldn't get work in Hollywood. But here's where it gets even messier. Monique also accused Oprah of putting her abusive family members on the Oprah Winfrey Show without properly consulting her first. Oprah invited Monique's brother, who had sexually abused her as a child, to appear on the show.
Everybody needed. So whenever I heard that there was something that people needed, I'm not in charge of the budget because that's Warner Brothers. You know, that's the way the studio system works. And we as producers, everybody gets their salary. That's negotiated by your team.
Monique says she wasn't given enough warning and the whole situation felt like a betrayal. She'd trusted Oprah, opened up about her trauma, and instead of protecting her, Oprah used it for ratings. For years, the industry treated Monique like she was the problem. People called her difficult, said she had a bad attitude, claimed she didn't know how to play the game, but 50 Cent saw through it. He publicly demanded that Oprah and Tyler Perry apologize to Monique, saying the blackball had gone on long enough. He posted on Instagram calling them out by name and saying he was going to put Monique back on top. And unlike most celebrities who make big promises and never follow through, 50 Cent actually did it. He cast Monique in the second season of his hit show BMF, giving her a role that reminded everyone why she won an Oscar in the first place. She delivered a powerful performance, and just like that, people started paying attention to her again. 50 proved that if you have the power and the platform, you can change someone's career. And now, he's doing the same thing for Taraji. After her tearful interviews about being underpaid on The Color Purple, 50 posted on Instagram saying Warner Brothers and Oprah dropped the ball, and he was ready to work with Taraji. It was a direct shot at Oprah, and everyone knew it. So, why does 50 Cent care so much? Why is he the only major figure in Hollywood willing to publicly call out Oprah? Some people think it's just his personality. He's petty, he loves drama, and he's never been afraid to speak his mind. But there's more to it than that. 50 Cent has always positioned himself as someone who protects people the industry tries to silence. He did it for Monique, he's doing it for Taraji, and he's made it clear that he's not afraid of Oprah's power or influence. In a world where everyone is scared to speak up because they don't want to get blackballed, 50 Cent is the exception. He's already rich, he's already successful, and he's built his empire outside of the traditional Hollywood system, which means he doesn't need their approval. That makes him dangerous to people who rely on maintaining a certain image. And Oprah's image has always been carefully curated. She's America's favorite billionaire, the woman who built an empire on empathy and inspiration. But behind the scenes, there are too many stories of people who've been on the wrong side of her influence. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. After all the drama, Taraji walked back her comments again in early 2024. She did another interview saying she never had any beef with Oprah, that people took her words out of context, and that she was just speaking generally about pay disparity in Hollywood. She insisted that Oprah had always been supportive and that the real issue was with the studio, not the producers. But by then, the damage was done. The internet had already made up its mind, and people started asking the bigger question: why does this keep happening? Why do black actresses keep finding themselves in situations where they're crying about being underpaid, undervalued, and disrespected? Why is it always the same few powerful people at the center of these stories? Some people online started speculating that there's more to the story than just money. Rumors began circulating about power dynamics in Hollywood, about who gets to say no and who gets punished for it. There were even whispers about Oprah and Gayle being part of some kind of exclusive circle that you either join or you get frozen out. Now, none of that is confirmed, and you should take those rumors with a massive grain of salt. But the fact that people are even asking these questions shows how much trust Oprah has lost with a significant portion of the public. And before we wrap, there's one final detail that makes this whole situation even more complicated. Despite everything that happened, despite the tears and the public callouts and 50 Cent's Instagram posts, Taraji and Oprah are still publicly cordial. They appeared together at events for The Color Purple. They smiled for the cameras. They played nice for the press. But if you watch the footage closely, especially that viral moment at the Empire State Building lighting ceremony, the body language tells a different story. Taraji looks uncomfortable. Oprah looks like she's performing, and the internet picked up on every awkward second of it. So what's the real story here? Did Oprah genuinely try to support Taraji and just get caught in a bad situation with the studio? Or is there a pattern of behavior that people have been too afraid to talk about until now? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Hollywood is complicated. Power dynamics are messy. And sometimes good people make decisions that hurt others, even if that wasn't the intention. But here's what we know for sure. 50 Cent has made it his mission to call out hypocrisy wherever he sees it. And when it comes to Oprah, he's not letting up anytime soon. So what do you think? Do you believe Oprah was really powerless to help Taraji get paid fairly? Or is there more to this story than what we're being told? And do you think 50 Cent is genuinely trying to protect these women? Or is he just being petty and starting drama for attention? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because we're diving into all the messiest celebrity drama Hollywood doesn't want you talking about. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.